Hello, friend. Jim here with JB's Big Adventure, coming to you from Lake Chapala, Mexico. And as you can tell, I've got a great subject for you. Well, I should say, for some of you, that might not be the thing you're going to want to be hearing about. But before I get to that, if you haven't already, I'd like to encourage you to go ahead and subscribe to the channel. It's a great community, and I know you want to be a part of it. It's fast, free, and easy to do. On the bottom right-hand corner, there's a little red box. Tap on it, you're subscribed, and you'll know when our next video comes out. Also, give us one of those thumbs up to let other people know it's a great video to watch about retiring to Lake Chapala. All right, so I'm talking about the negatives or the reasons why people leave Lake Chapala or decide they don't even want to come here. Now, here's what's interesting about this list I'm going to share with you, and that is everything is pretty much subjective to that person. In other words, we've all got experiences of whatever it may be, and we've all had bad experiences. But let me ask you this. If you went into McDonald's and you had terrible coffee, the coffee was bad, it just was terrible. Or let's say that you had a bad Big Mac. Now, let me ask you, would people still go eat there? Absolutely. Because it doesn't mean it's going to be everybody's the same experience. How about will they eat a Big Mac again? Absolutely. So just because you had a bad experience doesn't mean that all the experiences are going to be bad or everybody's going to have that experience. Second thing, what if somebody went or you went to Olive Garden and you ordered a meal and it was bad? Do people still go there and eat it at Olive Garden? Absolutely. Would you be back to eat at Olive Garden? I'm sure you would. We don't always experience the best of things in life sometimes. That's why life is as great as it is, because when we have bad experiences, we know that we're that much closer to a great experience. So that's not always a bad thing. So what I'm going to share with you are things that folks, expats, look at as to bad experiences or reasons why they wouldn't move here to Lake Chapala, Mexico, or might not move to Mexico at all. And I think you're going to get a kick out of some of the things I'm going to share with you. So let's talk about the first one. Basic utilities are not always reliable. Now, what do I mean by that? Water, there's times where neighborhoods have water issues. Or it turns out that there are neighborhoods that have wells. And it might be that the electricity to the pump goes out. Or, I mean, a whole myriad of things that has to do with the water. It might be that water might be rationed in the area that you're in. Now, these are all, I'm talking about Lake Chapala. I'm not talking about all of Mexico. So, the utilities aren't always reliable. How about when it comes to electricity? I mean, I know of folks that have moved here, and although that the temperature here averages between 68 and 72 degrees year-round. Now, does it get hotter than that? Sure it does. Does it get cooler than that? Sure it does. But so you won't find air conditioning or heating here for the most part. But the bottom line is, if you are here and let's say, for example, that the electricity goes out and it's warmer and you can't run your fans, well, does it mean it's going to be like that forever? No. So I'm talking about things that happen every once in a while here at Lake Chapala, Mexico. I know of folks that have moved here and we have a storm and their electricity goes out. Or it might be in the middle of the night. Or it might be that it's one of the warmer days and you're not able to get the fans going. Or maybe you have a portable, in the summer, a portable heater. What I'm just saying is there are people who will come here and leave because of that. But But those same things happen in the States. I mean, there are literally grids that go out, which I'm not talking about for a couple hundred or a couple thousand people. I'm talking for millions. When, electricity goes out or the grid gets overworked. So things happen here just like they do in the States. So is it a reason to look at coming here and then decide you want to leave? I don't think so. Because I think that if somebody comes here and doesn't stay, it doesn't matter what the reason is going to be. I mean, everybody can pick one. I've had it happen. And I'm going to share something else with you that I've had happen. That's the reason why I felt it important to actually share this with you. Let's look at number 2. The internet speeds. Well, it's known. Not everywhere that you're going to rent or buy here at Lake Chapala has access to fiber optic, to fast internet speeds. Not everywhere. And that's why I tell people, if you're moving here and you're looking for a place, whether it's to rent or to buy, and having fast internet is important to you, you've got to check into it. You've got to go to the area. You got to see if, in fact, if you can get a signal. If you're looking at a certain apartment or complex or a condo or a house, and they say internet's included, go there and visit it. Just use a speedtest.net. That will give you what the internet speed is there. So internet speeds are subjective. It just all depends on what you're needing. Now, personally, when we lived in Albuquerque, we were paying $140 for 80 megs of speed, Mbps. Here, we get 200, and it's only $27. I could get 500 for $49. That's a steal. A steal. So this is one of those things where it all depends on what you're using the internet for. I mean, are you watching Netflix? Are you using an Amazon Fire Stick? What are you using it for? And if that's an important thing for you, you need to make sure that you're moving somewhere or you're renting somewhere that's got fast internet speeds. That happens just in the States, also in Canada. Same thing here. You just got to find the area it's going to have what you're looking for. But some feel they can't get fast internet speed, so they're out. Just the way it is. Some can't deal with the cobblestone streets. Now, we've been here almost 2 years. And I got to tell you, we came here with what looked like a brand new car. And it's gotten beat up. Now, the cobblestone isn't necessarily good, and it's tougher to walk on too. So like when you're downtown Ajijic, the streets are narrower. And sometimes there's no sidewalk. So is that going to be something you're going to say, you know what, I'm not going to stay here because I don't like the cobblestone streets? Well, do what we did. Pick to live in an area where there aren't cobblestone. We live in a gated community. We have a house here, and we don't have cobblestone. In fact, all of the gated communities here, above and below the Libramento, don't have cobblestone. It's actually interlocking brick. So if that's an issue for you, what you do is you find a place to live where there's interlocking brick, or there's a brick that is not the cobblestone. It's a lot smoother ride. So some just can't deal with the cobblestone streets, and so they're out. Uneven sidewalks or areas where there's no sidewalk. I will tell you that if you go to the older areas of town, Ajijic, whether it's upper or lower, you won't find much when it comes to wide sidewalks. They're narrow. Now, there are areas where there's wider sidewalks. In fact, in Chapala, there's a lot of area where there is wide sidewalks. And if you're basically constrained to a chair and you're using a wheelchair to get around, Chapala will be a better choice because the sidewalks are wider. They do have them. And there's flatter spaces, there's flatter areas. It doesn't have that incline down the same way as Ajijic. So if you are in cobblestones, you don't like the cobblestones, well, you go someplace where there's no cobblestones. Same way with the sidewalks. If you have an issue with sidewalks or narrow sidewalks, well, you got to be in an area where they don't have that issue. But it's as simple as that. If you want to be in a different area, you can be in a different area. Can't flush toilet paper down the toilet. Is this a big thing? To some it is, to some it isn't. Now, I personally, I don't like it. There are those that I've talked to that say it's not a big deal. And you go into a, let's say, for example, a public toilet, and it turns out there's a little trash can. I'm not somebody that's going to look into it. Some are different than others. Some have a little top that comes off so you don't see what's in there. I just try to make sure that I prepare in advance. If I'm going to be somewhere that I'm not having to use a public toilet. Some of the restaurants, you can't flush the toilet paper. I'm not personally aware of anyone that lives anywhere along Lake Chapala here that at their home, at their apartment, a condo, that they can't flush the toilet paper. So to some, that's a big deal. It's a negative. But it doesn't have to stay that way. You just go somewhere where you can flush the toilet down trust the toilet paper down the toilet. As you can tell, I get mumbled and jumbled up here sometimes. Okay. How about drinking the water? Some people say that not being able to drink the tap water is not a good thing. Well, here's what I have found. Where we live, we have found that the tap water, although it's not run through 15 different plants, that there's been enough of filtration and such where the tap water here is not a bad thing. It just so happens the house that we live in right now, in the community that we live in, the water here is pretty good. It's well watered. And so it isn't like it's going through, the pipes and such that might be in older areas of Ajijic or Chapala or Lower San Antonio, Ribera Stipular. I mean, it's going to be different in different places. What we do is when we lived at the last complex that we were at was a condominium. It was called Birds of Paradise. Their entire, all 62 units had filtrated water right at the tap. That doesn't happen where we're at, but the water's been tested and the water's fine. But we still get bottled water. We still get the 5-gallon barrels of water. We have it delivered here every week. And so we use that as drinking water. So it doesn't have to be a negative, but to some it is. So that's one of the reasons why sometimes people don't move to Mexico or even to Lake Chapala, because that's just not something they can live with. But there are fixes to it, but it just all depends on what a person is willing to do. Some say they don't like the noisy neighbors. Well, you're coming to Mexico. We're living in their country. If you choose a place to live and it turns out that you can hear dogs barking, you can hear roosters, you can hear a lot of noise, you can hear fireworks going off. I mean, it's not bothered us. Now, we don't live downtown. Again, we live up off the Libramento. It's where we've chosen to live. We're going to be moving again soon, and we're choosing to stay in gated communities and not having to deal with some of the things that some people move away for. I mean, our rent here is $650 a month. We have a house, that's a 2-bedroom house, 2-bath, and we've got a backyard for Esme, for our dog. So we've chosen to stay in one of the gated communities that, in fact, has good streets, the interlocking brick. So it's a choice. It's a choice of where you want to live. I know this is something that some people decide that they don't want to move here for, and I don't get it. And that is, English is not widely spoken everywhere here at Lake Chapala. Now, because of the fact that a lot of expats live here on the north side of the lake around Ajijic, going into Chapala, what you'll find is a lot of the younger generation speaks some English. A lot of the older generation don't. It just all depends on who you talk to. One of the reasons a lot of people looked at living here at Lake Chapala is because of the fact that it's a large expat community, which means you're going to run into a lot of people, hundreds, thousands of people that are going to speak English. And so we're intermixed within old Mexico with folks that have been here for a lot longer than we have. But don't forget, we're in their country. We are here as guests. It doesn't matter what country you're from. When you come to Mexico, we're their guests. So it isn't important for them to speak English. I will tell you, it is not their responsibility to speak English. It's our responsibility to learn Spanish. I very strongly believe that. I try to use it whenever we're out. It takes practice. It takes getting used to, but it takes the fortitude, or it takes the right kind of spirit. You got to say, you know what? I'm going to learning a Spanish. That's what you need to do. There's plenty of places here that you can take classes for learning Spanish, and they're free. LCS has a class. There's a class at the American Legion. And I know there's other classes going around. So it's important for you to be able to learn Spanish. So that's just one of the things about being here. Are you going to make it a detriment? Are you going to make it something? Well, you're just not going to learn to speak Spanish. There are people who don't decide to live here or live in Mexico because they want to be somewhere where people speak English. You know, expats leave a country for reasons, for their reasons. But we move to another country, and we can't expect to move to that other country and expect our country to be like it is here. That's why we move. So we need to play by their rules. We need to play by their laws. But you know what? We need to learn Spanish if we're going to be here. So that should not be a big deal. Something else that people talk about that they don't like here, and that is driving. The traffic laws here are are really lax. Traffic signs, traffic signals are merely suggestions. Yes, you're going to find motorcycles driving on either side of you. You won't find that in other countries, or I should say in the countries you come from, in the States or in Canada. But it's something that's here. And yesterday, Barbara and I, we were with a couple of friends that we went down to Guadalajara. And I will tell you, it is so much worse down there than it is here. I even made the comment. I think those at Lake Chapala come to Guadalajara to practice their skills at flying in and out of different, streets and behind cars and going around. But it's the culture here. And we have to be willing to accept, if we're going to be living here, even the traffic. Now, I encourage everyone that moves here, practice the law like we have in the countries and the states that we come from. Use your turn signal. You don't have to drive around other people on the left or on the right-hand side if you're in a car. They do here, but it doesn't mean that you have to do it. Doesn't mean that we have to do it. So we need to abide by their laws and their rules. Here is what I think is the biggest reason why people don't move or live at Lake Chapala. And that is because out there among society, there are dream stealers. Now, what do I mean by a dream stealer? It's someone that steals the dream. There are people that dream about the fact that they want to come live in Mexico. But there's also people that are dream stealers. Because here's what they are. There are dream makers, those that make dreams come true. There are dream bakers that are working on making their dreams come true. But there's dream takers. And friend, I hope you're not a dream taker. There are people that are wanting to move here and move here for their reasons. And a lot of times the reasons are the same for a lot of expats. So what we learn from is We get our information from friends, families, and neighbors. Those are three places that we get information from, or we listen to. We're listening to that voice. But if they've not been here and you're wanting to be here, just because they don't see it the way that you do it, they probably haven't been looking into it. But still, when you go to Facebook or social media, there are people that will give inaccurate information, incorrect information. They're given their opinion. And I've said before, opinions are like belly buttons. Everyone's got one. And you'll swear some people have 2 or 3 or 4. So, dream stealers, dream takers. It's important about who we listen to and who we get our information. And I will assure you, on this channel, you won't have to be concerned about me just making something up. I search. I do search. Even with this video, I wanted to find out, I wanted to ask, I wanted to research, why is it that people don't move to Mexico? Why people don't move to Lake Chapala? So, whether you're looking at moving to Mexico, moving to Lake Chapala, those are the reasons why some people, or why a lot of people, might not decide to stay in Mexico or stay in Lake Chapala. I think it's a sad thing, because you just got to realize that if you're wanting to be away from the environment of the country that we come from, this is a great place to be because it's peaceful. Now, let me share reasons why folks do move here. Low cost of living. It's huge. 60 to 75, 80% cheaper to live here than it is to live in the States. How do I know that? Because we live it every single day. We're here. We see it every day. We live it every day. It's less expensive to live here. Less expensive to live here than it is to live in the States. You can also apply for your senior card. As long as you're age 16 above, you can get a card that gives you 50% discounts on a lot of different things. The ease of residency. You can actually come here for 6 months on your passport, be a tourist visa. But you can also get your temporal visa or even your permanente visa. And the rules are easy. And it's just making sure that we're abiding by the Mexican rules. So that's another video, but it's simple and easy to be able to live here. There's incredible healthcare here. Now, when I say that, not only is it affordable, but it's easy to access. I just had a gal that's here that came from the States, and she's been involved in the medical field for a long time. And in fact, the whole family's involved in the medical field. And when I took her to one of the hospitals and got inside, she says, wow, this is a pleasant surprise. This is not what I was expecting. They had a whole list of all the different departments that they had at the hospital and what the specialties were at the hospital. It's amazing. So when somebody says, they look at that and they say, wow, then that's a positive thing. So affordable healthcare here in Lake Chapala. If you're looking at owning a house, the property taxes are incredibly low. I've heard numbers of $200 to $300 a year for property taxes. Very inexpensive. This is the big one. Fresh air. Crisp, clean, fresh air. We are a mile high. That means we get fresher air here. We're not down where all the pollutants, we're not down where all the traffic and everything's taking place. We're elevated. Fresh, clean air. And yes, you can't see what you breathe. There's places in the States and such that you can go, and if you leave it and don't see the smog, you're thinking, oh man, there's no air. Now, here it's fresh. Always a nice breeze here at Lake Chapala. delicious food. Do I need to say more? Great food options here. Everything that you'd want to find, you could pretty much find at one of the multi-generational, what's the other word I want to use? Cultural bounds. I mean, all kinds of food here. All kinds. Authentic Mexican food. There's a new restaurant that just opened up from a couple that are from Northern California, and they just opened up a place called La Fiesta, which is Mexican food like from the States. If you've been used to it, like from California, Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, this is a brand new restaurant that's opened up that is really good and makes me happy because it's the first. Well, I should say there's another one here that's somewhat like the same kind of food, but I will just tell you a lot of food options, delicious food. Access to sweet and great tasting fruits and vegetables. Fresh access to fresh fruits and vegetables. It's pretty amazing what you can find here. But if you like fruits and vegetables, this is heaven. Also, amazing weather. Just had a comment yesterday about it. How great of a day it is. And it's like Groundhog Day, eternal spring. Average of 68 to 72 degrees, daily weather. It's awesome. It's great to be here at Lake Chapala. An established expat community. And that could be a good thing, it can be a bad thing. Here's how it can be a bad thing. If you listen to what all the expats talk about here, whoever it may be, you're going to talk to people and they're going to say, I mean, I was just having a conversation just a couple of days ago. I had somebody who's brand new here from Canada. We're sitting at a table. We're having a meal. And then somebody comes and says, the traffic is terrible. And they don't even have a car. They don't have anything to get around. They just use public transportation. And I'm thinking, are you kidding me? I mean, traffic. You go to LA and you're in 6 lanes and that traffic is not moving an inch. That's traffic. Here, you just have to head out 5 minutes early or 10 minutes early. It's not traffic here. So the things that some people talk about aren't other people's issues. When somebody talks about traffic here, it just blows my mind. It's like, where are they from? You think this is traffic? Just because it's one highway. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So great weather, and you don't have to listen to all the other voices. There's a lot of people that are going to be talking about all kinds of things. You don't have to listen to them because their issue or their hang up is probably not yours. So just for the things I share with you, just in this brief video, I would just tell you, the pros outweigh the cons by a huge number, So if you're looking for a reason why not to move here, just pick one of those. You move here, you got great weather, you've got fresh air, you've got the warm Mexican people, you've got affordable health care, you've got everything that a person in life that's looking to be able to live and live less expensively and enjoy life and be able to relax. And as I mentioned to one person just this last week, that we were sitting on a bench at the lake, and it was at the Ajijic Malacan, and we sat there, and I said, what does this remind you of? And she said, peace. Powerful, a wonderful place to be. So friend, I hope that this has helped you. I can just tell you that if you come and try it out, if you come and visit here, just like the person that I'm with time and time and time again, they want to move here. there's no sales pitch that has to be made. They just realize that they've got to live here. They're sick and tired of being sick and tired of everything that they're sick and tired of in the other countries, and they move here. So I hope this has been helpful for you. Friend, if you haven't already, I'd like to encourage you to subscribe to the channel. It's a great community. I know you want to be a part of it. It's fast, free, and easy to do. On the bottom right-hand corner, there's a little red box. Tap on it, and you're subscribed. You'll know when our next video comes out. Also, give us one of those thumbs up. Lets other people know it's a great video to watch about retiring to Lake Chapala. Stop by, say hi, ask a question, leave an idea of a video that you'd like to see, and also make sure you hit the bell, because that way you'll be immediately notified when our next video comes out, and you don't want to miss. You do not want to miss our next video. So with that, as always, thank you for being a part of this community and supporting this channel. Have an awesome day. We'll see you on the next video.